our goal for today? We're going to build on our skills, yes? So if you're not practicing every night, things will get exponentially harder. Like it will get hard if you're not practicing them, because each little piece builds on another piece.
Can I use a washroom?
If you can wait, that would be great, but if you have to go, then go, man. Yes, Rahat? Okay, Rahat. I'd like to start the lesson. That's not a critical question, right? All right, okay. Missing sides. So we're determining the length of AB to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to use my highlighter to highlight the side that I'm looking for. So side AB is going from vertex A to vertex B. So that's that side. And what does the nearest tenth mean? First decimal place. Okay, so we know that. All right, so when I'm picking a formula, I have to, when I'm finding a side, obviously I have my angle here. I'm going to label the side I know. So what side is 10 centimeters? Is it my opposite, hypotenuse, or adjacent?
Opposite.
It's my adjacent side. Because it touches the angle.
I didn't see the circle.
You didn't see the circle?
Yeah, the little half circle.
The arc.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you, Stephen. Arc.
It is an arc. Okay, now the question is, what side is BA? The opposite side, yep. Now, we do know that this is the hypotenuse, right? Because it's across from the 90-degree angle. You could label it if you need to, but I find sometimes that's a little bit confusing. The two sides I'm most concerned with is the side I know and the side I want to find. So what trig ratios am I going to use, or trig ratio, just one of them, am I going to use? So I'm looking for the trig ratio that has opposite and adjacent in it. That is tangent. So tan of the angle is equal to the opposite divided by the adjacent. And I would encourage you, you do not have to, but I would encourage you to write the formulas down every time. And the reason why is because that will help it stick in your brain a little bit better. Okay, so now that I have the formula, I'm going to put in the information that I know. Okay, here we go. So the angle I know, so that goes in for theta. That goes in for the angle measurement. The opposite side, do I know what that is? Nope, that's the one I'm trying to find, right? That's the one I don't know. So what letter am I going to use to represent that side? Small, nope, not theta. Theta is always angles. What's this vertice? So this side's going to be a small c. And then the adjacent goes on the bottom, and so I will put a 10 in here. Now notice I'm not using any units of measure inside this formula. It gets a little bit confusing if you do, but your final answer has to have a unit of measure. Okay, everybody with me? All right, so we're going to use our handy dandy calculators. I'm going to turn mine on. And so this is, you're going to evaluate. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to evaluate. That's going to be step one. So we're going to put that into our calculator. So tan of 30 degrees. So my calculator's in degree mode. And I put in this calculator, I just do the straight up tan button and then 30 degrees. Everybody good with that? And I'm going to hit enter. Okay, that's a lot of decimal places and I need them all. Yep. So your calculator figured out for you what tan of 30 is. And there's a way to calculate it. Before calculators existed, there was trig tables that you had to find. It was kind of a pain in the butt. I've always had a calculator, but there have been times where we've used trig tables. Okay, I want to get C by itself. So right now it's C is divided by 10. So what's the opposite operation to divide by 10? Multiply by 10. So if I multiply this side by 10, I have to multiply the other side by 10. That's some basic algebra that you did in grade 9, grade 7, and grade 8. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So 10 divided by 10 is just 1. So those end up canceling each other out. So I'm just going to write the letter C. I could write 1C if I wanted to, but I don't have to. And then that decimal, I left it on my screen there. And I'm going to times that by 10. So in my calculator, I can go times, and it takes the answer that's on the screen. I'm going to times it by 10. Okay, so I'm rounding to how many decimal places? 1. So what's my answer going to be? 5.8. And then what am I missing?
Degrees. No, centimeters.
Centimeters, because it's a side length, right? It's not an angle, so it's going to be centimeters. And that's my answer. Easy peasy. But you see how you needed yesterday's lesson in order to do today's lesson. All right. So next question, number 5. Determine the length of EF. So again, I'm just going to take my highlighter. You guys don't have to do this. I'm going to take my highlighter and I'm going to highlight it. I find that keeps me organized and I know which ones I'm looking for. So my angle's right here. The 20 degrees is in that angle. What letter am I going to represent this side with? The lowercase d, yeah. But you were also correct, Steve. That was my next question. And so now we're going to label our sides. So what I care about is the side I know and the side I want to find. So Steve told us that the D side here was the adjacent side. And what side is the 3.5? Opposite. Because it's opposite to that angle. And again, we could label the hypotenuse, but I don't need the hypotenuse. So in order not to confuse myself, I'm only going to look at those two sides, the side I have and the side I want. Okay, trig formula with opposite and adjacent in it. Trig formula that has opposite and adjacent. 10, you just did it, right? So tan of the angle is equal to the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. All right. Okay, now we're going to fill it in. So tan of 20 degrees is equal to 3.5 over side D. Yeah.
When do you know when to use the tan minus 1 and when to use tan?
That's a good question. So you use tan minus 1 when we're solving for an angle, when we're trying to find the angle. So we're going to do that tomorrow. So tomorrow is going to be both. No, sorry, tomorrow's going to be angles. Thursday's going to be both. You guys know your problem set's due on Thursday? Okay, I keep saying it because I want everybody to remember. Okay. Pardon? Well, don't tattoo it because you're going to have like 5 more to do. So at least leave room for the other due dates if you're going to get a tattoo. Okay, this one, the D is on, the unknown is on the bottom. If you look at this example, where was the C? It was in the numerator. So it was kind of, this is a little bit easier This one's not hard to do, but there's a little bit of math. I need to get D upstairs to the numerator. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply both sides by D. So I'm going to multiply this side by D and that side by D. What happens to these D's? What happens to these D's?
They die.
They don't die. They cancel each other
They
out.
get eliminated.
They get eliminated. Okay. So now I have D times tan of 20 equals 3.5. So now I want to get D by itself. So what do? I got to get rid of the tan 20, right? So what operation is between this and the tan 20? It's multiply, so what's the opposite to multiply? Divide. So we're going to divide this side by tan 20. And if I do it to the left-hand side, I have to do it to the right-hand side. So D is equal to 3.5 divided by tan of 20. So if the variable's on the bottom, I'm going to have to divide my numbers. If the variable's on the top, I multiply them. Okay, so now we got to do some math. My calculator can handle me putting this all in as one thing. I don't know if yours can. So what I can do is I can set this up in my calculator. So 3.5 divided by tan of 20 degrees, and I got to close my bracket. I'm going to hit equals. Can your calculator do it all in one step? That's nice. So that way you don't have to write down a big long decimal right away. And what am I rounding to here? We're rounding to the nearest tenth again. So what is the length of D? (9.6), and what's my units of measure? Centimeters. Because 9.6 centimeters is a very different length than 9.6 meters, right? Okay, how do we feel about that? Got it? All right. Am I good to flip the page, Dion? Okay. Do you guys think you can do this one by yourself?
No, you can do both of them ours. Yeah.
I think let's try 6 by yourself. So I'm going to do the math while you're doing the math.
I'm just counting on that. I think I'm gonna think about it.
Sure. You're going to go 2 sides? That's good. Now you got to figure out which way to formula. Good start, but you're missing the first part, because the cos of the angle equals that. That's good. Okay.
Miss Downing,
Yes, Rahat?
other than this SOHCAHTOA, will we learn anything else in this unit?
We're gonna learn angles of elevation and depression. Pardon?
A lot of people say angles of depression is like horrible.
Yes.
It is?
It's not too terrible. Once you get the hang of it, it's fine.
Then is it a bit depressing?
Poor rat.
Okay, it looks like, just from walking around, it looks like you guys are doing awesome at labeling the sides for sure. Everybody picked that it was cosine? Okay. And remember that you're rounding to 1 decimal place. You're rounding to 1 decimal place. So you guys know, we're gonna have to pick courses soon, right? So you're gonna have to make a decision where you wanna go. If you're going to essentials, if you're gonna go to applied, or if you're gonna go to pre-cal. If you're gonna go into applied and pre-cal, details are really, really important. So a lot of us know how to do the math, but making sure you round to what the question's asking you to is a specific skill. Especially if you're planning on going the pre-cal route, we are really, really focused on the details. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking about where you want to go. You guys have to make some choices. You want to keep as many doors open as possible because your post-secondary goals may change. But you guys will be picking courses next week, I believe.
What block?
This one.
Because my schedule's kind of weird. It's like A or like E or B. I have like all different. It's like only daytime class.
But this is your schedule for next year
Yeah.
that you're picking, right?
Who teaches grade 11 pre?
Thompson and myself teach grade 11 pre-cal.
You teach grade 11 after this?
No, grade 11 was first semester for me. Thompson's teaching it right now. So I taught grade 11 pre-cal first semester.
Will you teach it next year?
Usually I teach it. So I'm hoping next year I'll still teach it. Okay, I'm going to unfreeze and I'm going to show you my answer. 3.3? Yes? Okay, then let's do the last one together fairly quickly so you can jump into your assignment. So the length of DE. So DE. And so for me, that's lowercase f. So that one's nice and easy to spot. That's my hypotenuse. And that's my opposite. Because I'm across from the angle indicated. So this one's going to be sine. So ladies and gentlemen, would it be helpful to get ready for your first quiz by creating your cheat sheet now with those 3 formulas across the top? so that you can pull out that colored piece of paper
Yeah.
really quickly. It's just a suggestion. You're probably going to create a cheat sheet for that quiz on Monday. So, just saying, you might want to do that. So sine of 55 equals 6.8 over side F. So now that variable's on the bottom. So this is the question that ends up being a divide. So I'm going to multiply both sides by F. Why is it sine? Because it's opposite and hypotenuse. Because I'm looking for, I want to use the formula that has the side I know. That's my opposite side, and the side I want, which is my hypotenuse. All right. So I got to divide both sides by sine of 55. Ooh. So F is equal to 6.8 divided by sine of 55. Gentlemen, are you guys okay? Yeah? Hey, did everybody put units of measure in their answer on the last one? Perfect. I didn't even ask that. I just assumed you were that good. And again, we're going to the nearest tenth of a centimeter. And that's it. That's all. Just stealing that for a second. And in your assignment, I'm just going to point out that you're going to the nearest hundredth. So what's the hundredth spot? Tenth was 1.
Second place.
Second place. Yeah. Thanks for that. Okay, so that's it.